Come on. There we go. Let's see here. Grab the chat window, put it over here. Turn on live chat, because top chat's stupid. All right, and there we go. Hope you folks are doing well. It was -6 Fahrenheit when I woke up this morning, which is -21 Celsius. I looked it up. I need a little bit more light, I think. There we go. Yeah, so it's a cold one. And that's not even the wind chill. I don't even know what the wind chill is. It's probably a lot more because it's windy. Hello from Union County, Georgia. I want to wish you and those tuning in Merry Christmas. Will you be hosting the show on the 28th? Yeah, that's the plan. Yep. A bit early, but yes, Cyberpunk is the future. Some people argue we are mostly there already. I think we're heading in that direction, for sure. And I want to talk about that to some degree, for sure. Feisty Crabman, how you doing? Breezy and chilly Central Texas. Well, there you go. It's supposed to get chillier tonight. Oh, my goodness. Let's see here. Negative freedom units here. Well, yeah. Our grid wasn't designed for the cold. Yeah, I remember that. Like like people's fish tanks frozen in their houses. That was an image that's not going to leave my head anytime soon. I've been assured that small grid fusion is only 20 years away. For how many years have you been assured that? That's what I want to know. Good morning from actually pretty snowy New Jersey. How you doing? Yeah, we had a lot of snow this week. It was like, I don't know, overall 6 to 8 inches, depending where you're, in this area. And it was a lot of snow removal that I was doing this week, which was a hoot. Just making some coffee here. Good to see you, Blue Nine. Morning from snowy Cleveland. How you doing? VJ Morph. Morning all from very stunned Sydney. I saw the news. Yeah, that's seems like an American thing usually. I don't know. Yeah, it sucks. Hello from cold and snowy West Virginia. 3D printing some Christmas gifts. Well, that's nice. Working on a Tau battlesuit team. Cool. Cold but sunny Jonesboro, Illinois. Good afternoon from Kent. Good time of day from Clearwater, Florida. Working on some last minute sewn gifts. Thanks for sewing. Neat. Morning from North Bend, Washington. Up making some pies for a Christmas gathering later today. Nice. Morning from Montreal. Indeed. -21. Yeah. And like I said, that's not the wind chill. I don't even know. Like the wind chill is. Let's see here. It's very exciting. Feels like -15, which is. What's -15 in Celsius? Oh, yeah, why would you tell me? No, exactly. Send me some links about how to figure it out. Good work. Anyway, Motorbreath Jazz, hello, how you doing? Fungazi, good morning from chilly Washington, D.C. My head's still recovering from last night's Christmas party. I am partially deaf from going to a show last night. I went to a small punk show at a coffee shop. It's couple of bands, people that I'm friends with. It was a good time. It was a very good time. And I took pictures. And so I will probably, hopefully get it. I know I got the second band lead singer, who's a friend of mine and who also paints miniatures. He's very expressive when he sings. So I know I got some good shots there because I was kind of right up in the front. And again, it was a coffee shop show. It wasn't like it was, but still, I was like kind of sitting right near in the front, and he was kind of up in my face a good deal. So there's going to be some good shots from that. But I am deaf as a post this morning because I didn't wear earplugs because I am a moron. So anyway, morning from frozen Cleveland. How you doing? Let's see here. That's beyond cold. I mean, I remember the coldest that I can remember that was not wind chill. I remember waking up one morning in February, late February, and I was going to a gaming convention here in Wisconsin. It was called Fire and Ice, strangely enough. It's always in late February, like the last weekend in February. And this was in sometime between 2004 and 2007 because of the apartment that we lived in. That's how I remember that. Anyway, I woke up and it was negative 25. And that was Fahrenheit. So yeah, and our furnace had stopped, so that was also a problem. Let's see here. Finally, a stream I can watch while not at work. Well, there you go. That's pretty cool. Good morning from the snowpocalypse here in Ohio. Gotcha. Really wish Cyberpunk wasn't the future, but I understand the fiction, just not distracted by cool cybernetics. The thing that's always sort of driven me nuts about like Cyberpunk like 2077 or Cyberpunk Red, which is what it's based off of, which is a role-playing game, which was originally called Cyberpunk 2020, I think, if I remember correctly, and you know, Mike Pondsmith, all that kind of stuff. I like when I started playing the video game 2077 when it came out, well, 3, 4, 5 years ago or whatever. I was just like, wow, all these people must have like, there must be like a lot of industrial accidents because so many people have like prosthetic limbs. And it just didn't strike me as like, in that society, they're like, well, if I can get a robot arm, it's cooler than a regular arm. So I'll just get rid of my perfectly good regular arm to get a cool robot arm. And I don't get that. But it's a different society. You know what I mean? The other reason that that's always bothered me is because, you know how a new one of these comes out every year? You know what I mean? Like this is a 16. This is a iPhone 16 Pro Max. Well, the 17s came out back in the 3-4 months ago, and then the 18s will probably come out next year. But there's some people saying that maybe the 18s won't come out next year. They'll actually take a year off for once. We'll see. But like, think about if you got like a cool robot leg and then all of a sudden, like 3 years later, they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to support the lat, no more, you know what I mean? Like that seems exactly like what would happen. Just FYI, it just, yeah. So that's the other thing that's always bothered me about the let's take all of our limbs and turn them into robot limbs kind of thing, part of like Cyberpunk, but all the rest of the stuff is Cyberpunk seems pretty much dead on. But yeah. Another thing I want to talk about at some point coming up, hopefully too, is that I think Cyberpunk is more likely than the future that we see in 40K and to a lesser degree, well, not even to a lesser degree, to another degree in like say BattleTech, where all of a sudden there's like royal houses and there's like lords and this and that. I'm like, I think we're heading away from that, but Vince and I have had that discussion before. Let me see here. Hello from a snowy New York City. How you doing, Clone Commando? Good morning from West Virginia. Ancient Order. Good morning from a currently defrosting Saskatchewan. Looking forward this week to a massive roller coaster that is the weather. Yeah, that's the funny thing is it's real cold right now, and by like Wednesday it's supposed to be above freezing. So then all of the snow is going to start to get slushy, and then the week after, as we head towards Christmas, it's supposed to go even up higher. It's going to be in like the mid 40s. So I'm like, well, that's going to be slushy. Let's see here. Hi from stormy Scotland. How you doing? Good morning from Quebec City. About to paint my kit bash. Nice. Good morning from Brisbane. It's a cold, snowy morning here in Nora, Virginia. I'm skipping my league game in my Warhammer League to paint up by the fireplace today. Nice. No snow here, not even a frost. Wow, there you go. Oxford, UK. Pachow from Gilbert, Arizona. How you doing? Trying to get back into my hobby flow after a couple of weeks of illness, organizing my piles of eBay and used game store purchases here in North Carolina. Nice. Nurgle Matthew, how you doing? Just dropping in for a start, then off to bed. I've been getting into Blackout. Have you checked it out any further? Yeah, I've got... Do I have 3 armies painted or just 2? I think I have 3, don't I? That sounds about right. I swear someone said something about how there's a solo version too, which I need to check out. I haven't had the time to look lately. But yeah, I'm I got to play a game of it at honestly the last time I got to play it was at Nova, sadly. But yeah, just drop it in. I read that one. It's lower than the record for Scotland. Gotcha. Yeah, and like, you know, people are going to church, going to work, going to whatever. I mean, it's, yeah. Greetings from Germany. It's been a long time since I made it to the live stream. Well, we're glad to have you. Organizing my hobby space right now, hoping to continue with my Guards of Trader's Toll minis later. I keep hearing about that, and I need to look into it. Cyberpunk, a dystopia where corporations run everything, including governments, the wealthy live removed lives, environmental collapse, and people not even understanding tech. Nah, that'll never happen. Yep. Just watching and painting some baddies from the Street Masters board games. Negative 26C, negative 15 in Celsius. Opens calculator. Yeah, no, that's not good. It's not good. Older I get, the closer I get to being an earbuds at a punk hardcore show guy. Yeah, like I said, I really should have. Good morning from Juneau, Alaska. Nothing like waking up to a storm warning. Supposed to get up to a foot of snow and gusts of 60 miles per hour. Got to get my lanterns ready. My wife and I just got done watching The True Detective, I think 4th season, the one that takes place in Alaska. It was really interesting. It was cool. It's on HBO or whatever. We hadn't had HBO for quite a while, and then I signed up for it for a while to watch a few things, and we'll see how long I keep it. Probably not very long. Let's see here. Good afternoon from overcast, chilly Horsham, Sussex, UK, where the last chance to prime is just in time. I will probably, when it gets into the at least above 30, then I will probably prime outside. I'm again going to then bring it in the house to, you know, and put it in my ventilation booth down in the basement there so that it can outgas. I'm not going to leave it in the house and stink up the house. But yeah, like right now, even right now, I would probably prime if I was only doing one layer, like if I was just hitting it with black. But because I have a tendency with the terrain that I've been working on lately to, you know, hit it with black and then hit it with the filler primer, which is a bit thicker as well, and spray it from above like a zenithal, that I don't want to do when it's like that cold. You know what I mean? Because stuff will freeze, like sometimes even in midair, and so if I was just doing one layer of regular black primer, probably be fine, especially the enamel stuff. But if I'm doing the 2 layers like that, I want it to be a bit warmer. So, because I've got a bunch, well, not a bunch, I've got a piece of Trench Crusade terrain that I need to prime to match another one, so I can paint them. And then I have this cool statue that I printed from the folks at Mini Wargaming. They've got they got a whole bunch of stuff going on now, which is really cool. I didn't even realize necessarily. Forge Mini Wargaming.com. Poke. There we go. So like they'll print stuff for you and ship it to you, but you can also just get STLs. Ruins of Perdition is what it's called. I don't know if you can see this in the picture. Like there's this big honkin' statue guy, like, and then there's one down here in this corner too that's closer. But like, let me see if I can find it. Terrain, Ruins of Perdition. Ruins of Perdition statue bundle, right? So I have printed now this guy right here, who is like a cool statue, but it's like broken, like probably taken some, you know, some shelling or whatever, and then they've propped up and made like what do you call it, like sniper positions and stuff like that. You can see the sandbags, and they've got another sniper position up there. That thing is like just shy of 9 inches tall. And then there's this guy. Nope, this guy. This guy is 2 pieces, because each piece is just shy of 9 inches tall. He's just shy of 18 inches tall. You print that piece first, which is, like I said, just under 9 inches, because your print volume on a lot of printers is usually max 9 by 9 by 9. Actually, technically 256 millimeters cubed. So they've designed this thing so you could print that, and then that's like this big, and then you add another part to it that's just so it's almost 18 inches tall. So, like I said, I've printed this version so far, and that took it took a day and 17 hours or so, something like that. But then it comes with other pieces too, like smaller little guys and this and that and everything. So anyway, I gotta, like I said, I want to prime this guy, but I first want to try to do some texture work to him. It came out incredibly smooth, surprisingly smooth. I showed it off a little bit on Twitch, I think on Friday. But I actually want to maybe rough it up a little bit in some spots. I've got this texture stuff that I want to sort of put on it and see how it works, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's pretty neat. Let me see, where are we at? I got lost, sorry. Adam at a punk show. I'm not old. I don't need earplugs. Yeah, no, exactly. It was a dumb move. Morning from a sunny, cold Milwaukee. Deaf sounds like time for earplugs. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, I'm not deaf. I can hear, but it's like, I can definitely tell. I mean, like this year's always been sort of crappy, but it's better now. But when I woke up this morning, I was like, it's not. I was not so deaf that, and I don't know if this ever happened to you. Like sometimes you get like snot built up behind your eardrum, and then you can't hear out of that ear. And then you take a shower and you can hear, like in your head, you can hear the water hitting your skull. I don't know if that's ever happened to anyone else, but yeah, I didn't have that today in the shower, so that's good. Greetings from Warsaw. Warsaw. No snow here. When I see that word, I want to say Wausau because there's a city in Wisconsin called Wausau, but it's not spelled the same way. But sorry. Anyway, let's see here. Where are we? There we go. Morning from foggy Southern California. Have you heard about the Cyberpunk TCG? Gonna launch next year. Like, is it Cyberpunk like the same as the video game and the Cyberpunk Red and all that kind of stuff? I haven't, and I've never been a TCG guy really. Like, I'm not into collectible card games much. Vince is super into Magic, and I know John, like Ninjon, they're into that too, and Ben Cantor and stuff like that. Vince just had his video, I think it went live yesterday, about VinceCon. So yeah, I don't know if it's something they'd be into. I wanted to say that if the purpose of your channel is bringing lapsed gamers back in the hobby, it succeeded with me. Oh, good to hear. Good to hear. Your channel was one of several that got me building, painting, and gaming. Well, good. That's good to hear. Absolutely. It was funny, the lead singer in the second band last night, like I said, we've known each other for years, and he's been getting into painting miniatures. And like before the show, he's like, hey, I just want to let you know that tip about the little fidget popper things. He's like, my kid's got a whole bunch of those. And he's like, oh man, these just changed the way I paint. I'm like, yeah, I know. They're awesome. So yeah. -10 in Quebec City, which is warmer than usual. That's nice. Need to migrate south for the winter. Hit 36C here in the south end of Western Australia. That's very south, I think. Australia is very south, you know. I don't know. There's a part of me that, like, someday in the future, maybe, I think it'd be interesting to retire to Costa Rica or Belize or someplace like that. But I think I'd have to convince my wife, first of all. So there's that. But yeah. Good Sunday morning. How you doing, Wirehead? I'm really disappointed that the corporate dystopia we ended up with doesn't have nearly enough cyberware. Like, again, like I said, like there's a lot of cyberware I don't think I'd want, you know? And again, I'm always nervous about like the whole concept of like, oh, I'm going to get this like thing that I'm going to put in my head so I can like, but I'm like, yeah, but then in 4 years, they're going to be like, it's like when you buy a smart TV and then you're watching YouTube on it and stuff like that. And then like 2-3 years later, they're like, oh yeah, that's, yeah. We don't support that anymore, so it doesn't work anymore. You're like, really? Like we have a one of those smart thermostats. It was a Nest. I think we bought the second generation. We didn't buy the first generation, and we've had it for about 10 years. And then just recently, they're like, oh yeah, no, you got to buy a new one. It's just not going to work anymore. And I'm like, but it works fine. And they're like, Nah, I mean, it still does its job. Like it's still currently thermostating, right? But I can't connect to it anymore with the app, and I've got to literally walk up to it like a caveman and twist it. But yet, I just saw an article recently about how it's still sending data to them. It's still like sending data and stuff like that. So the whole concept of like, oh yeah, it doesn't work with our system anymore, and we've updated things, that's all BS as usual. So yeah, I don't know. Good morning from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Getting ready for a playtest of my own RPG. Nice. Very cool. 2077 was pretty cartoonish, didn't make much sense if you thought too much about it. I still love it. I absolutely like it's like basically I only play like 2 like non-indie or non-retro games these days. I play 2077, which I love. I just love driving around and just doing stuff, getting into trouble, looking at things. I'm using it for a good deal of what would you call it? Just inspiration for the Cyberpunk board that I'm working on. And the other game lately has been Arc Raiders, which I played some Arc Raiders earlier this week, and it was going great until it wasn't. So there's that. Let's see, what else? Yeah, but that's pretty much the only 2 things. So I think Cyberpunk 2077 is a masterpiece. I think that, sure, there's some things that don't exactly make sense, but I love it a lot. Nobody wants to need to jailbreak their leg. Yeah, there you go. I'm on my way to being Cyberpunk. I have a prosthetic leg. Granted, it sucks in cold weather. Is it cool and like glossy, like metal looking, and have like all kinds of extraneous weird greeblies all over it? I hope not. I hope it's like a normal, like prosthetic leg, because yeah. The ones that drive me nuts in Cyberpunk 2077 are the ones where it's just like the legs just come to a point, like there's no foot. It's just like a weird pointy point. And I'm like, God, that looks super uncomfortable. But I remember in late May of 1980, going on a school field trip with 20 degrees Celsius, clear blue skies on a Friday. Great for Scotland. It snowed 4 inches on Monday. Wow. Yeah. Pondsmith saying for his cyberpunk world, he's often been rule of cool. If the cybernetic arm is cooler, you get the cybernetic arm. Sure. Yeah, I get that. The constant robot leg and arm updates are what make it a dystopia. Oh, yeah. It's like it's constantly like, oh, there's a firmware update like every day when you wake up. You're like, ugh. Open source wetware is key. It's all Linux in the future. Maybe. I don't know. First edition of Cyberpunk RPG from 1988 was sent into the faraway year of 2013. Yeah, that's right. Because the original Cyberpunk, and then there was Cyberpunk 2020, I think, which was like the next edition. And then I don't know if they made a Cyberpunk edition for like a really long time. And then back, I don't know, I think just before the pandemic is when Cyberpunk Red came out. And I have the book somewhere. Do I have it here? No, I don't have it up here, but I have it down in the basement. But I mainly bought it just because I wanted to read it. I don't really plan on playing it. We did post college for a while play Shadowrun, which was fine, but I could do personally without the elves and dwarves and dragons and magic. So, honestly, it doesn't. At that point, then you're basically just playing the other game. So, yeah. Imagine paying a subscription fee to use your robot arm. Well, absolutely. There was a movie with Jude Law and I think Forrest Whitaker called it's like Repo something or other. And it was like a sci-fi thing, and like basically their job was if you had a synthetic or mechanical liver and you weren't paying for it, they would come and repossess it, which is to say they would basically knock you down and take it out of you, and then you would basically die. I remember watching that. I remember watching it in the theater, and like the film broke or something like that. I don't know. That's all I remember about it. Friday was negative 42 Celsius, ooh, with a wind chill, and the coldest day of the winter so far. So, of course, that was the day I had my hair cut. Yeah. Let's see here. It's getting advertisements from your knee that is truly the Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah. Real dystopian part would be the software that runs the limbs would be a subscription. Yeah. what Cyberpunk game system are you going to play or use the miniatures you were recently playing? So I did do some Cyberpunk-esque miniatures recently that I painted on stream. Those are going to be, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure yet. But what I'm starting, or what I started yesterday is, there we go. I painted, well, I haven't started painting yet. I glued them together and I textured their bases. It's an Arasaka starter gang for Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone from Monster Fight Club. So yeah, I put these guys together. Like some of them were single piece. Like this guy, if you can see my cursor right here, that guy and that guy, I think were single piece. This guy, you had to put head and arms on him. This guy, he needed, I think, head and arms. I think this guy was single piece. Now that I come to think with that big chunky guy. This guy, the gun had to go on him. But yeah, they're not the greatest quality in the world because they're not like hard plastic. They are, what's that stuff? Ceocast. And if anything, here's the thing that's interesting. They're plastic, or plastic-ish, whatever the heck the Ceocast stuff is made out of, but they remind me slightly of metal miniatures. So if you're sort of nostalgic for metal miniatures and stuff like that, which I know there are plenty of people out there who are into that, like I'm not generally one of those folks that's all into like, oh yeah, I love Old Hammer and all that kind of stuff. Like honestly, I'm not interested in almost any Old Hammer at all, but that's just a personal preference. But like the detail on these does remind me a little bit of like metal miniatures because it can be a little squidgy in some spots, but they're fun minis. I mean, they go together real easy. That's a benefit, like because some of them, like 3 of them are just basically single piece. You glue them to a base, and the other ones are relatively simple. But yeah, and so my plan is after I get back from lunch at the in-laws, then I am going to prime these guys up and give them probably a coat of a super dark gray zenithal. Because they're Arasaka, they're mostly basically black and red. And then after that, I got to edit the podcast. Yes, because the podcast goes live. Snarlcast goes live tomorrow, episode 22, I think. So yeah, I got to edit that tonight. But yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do next from these guys. I own a couple other gangs, and I should probably look into seeing which ones would also be interesting. I think there's a 6th Street gang that they sell as well, which might be kind of cool to... I don't have it, but that might be kind of neat. I don't know. 6th Street's like... I've been... recently, as I've been playing the video game, I've been in trouble with 6th Street a lot, which is fine by me because they're kind of jerks, but yeah. But yeah, the Arasaka guys are cool. And they're going to be really super fast to paint because, like I said, they're basically black and red, and it's just there's not a lot. They're pretty military, and so military stuff goes quick when I do it the way I do it. So, looking forward to that. And the Combat Zone game is fun. It's a cool game. I like it. So I'm looking forward to having some finally like painted miniatures to play it and everything. Let me see here. If you're going to chop off a perfectly good limb to cyber it up, you'll upgrade too. I suppose. Yeah. I don't know. Again, if you do lose a limb for some reason, then it's great to have a cool, neat cyberpunk one that could, I don't know, shoot lasers out of it or whatever they do. That's kind of fun. In the game, I do have, do I have cybernetic legs or do I just have I don't know. I know I can jump real high in the game, which is nice. Couldn't do it from the beginning. With the strength of the corpos in the real world now, I think we're on a pretty cyberpunk track already. Yeah, I agree. I think we're heading more that direction than 40K direction, Lord knows. I remember 50 below on guard duty at Fort Knox Rifle Storage Facility and 60 below Fahrenheit at the oil dump in my first duty station. Ugh, that's very cold. It would suck if Adobe made your robot arm and if you cancel your subscription, it stopped working, just flop around. Yeah, that would suck. Could be going into Cyberpunk rather than 40K. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Could be argued that the barons of Middle Ages are reborn as barons of industry in the new castles of the corporate infrastructure. I think that it's just that nobody's going to buy it. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like yeah, you've got people who can act like as if they're some sort of barons or whatever, and that's fine. But like, you know, I don't believe that Zuckerberg, like that's the thing. Like back in the day, royalty was royalty, like way back in the day, due to, you know, they were like divinity and all kinds of things like that. And then, you know, and now, like even now in 2025, we look at royalty like they're just, it's not really, you know. And so I find it really super hard to believe that in the far future we're like, oh yes, definitely, you know, Lord so and so or what. I just, yeah, I don't know. I don't see us going in that direction, but let's see here. It's just the rich are taking the place of royalty, but that's still just corporate at that point. Like the rich are the rich, but they're rich because of corporations, not because of, you know, divine right or anything along those lines. That's the trick. And they can call themselves Lord, you know, Zuckerberg could call himself Lord Zuckerberg and we'd all be like, uh-huh, right. And we'd just, you know, anywho, that's the way I look at it. That's why I never buy any of that kind of like both in BattleTech and also in 40K. And there was a series of books I read recently too. I think they were by John Scalzi, and there was a series of books that there was a lot of like royalty and emperors and all that kind of jazz. It's interesting to consider which sci-fi setting is most likely to become reality in the next generation. Yeah. I've got a RPG over there called Eclipse Phase that, again, I bought because I thought it was cool and I don't have any plan to play it. But it's a super like post-human future where everyone is basically like a cyber, like not even like you've got cyber body parts. You're just like, I'm in the computer now. I don't even know if they have like bodies anymore, if they just upload and then chuck the bodies into the river. I don't know, but like the kind of fluff story that kind of introduces the whole concept at the beginning was, I thought, super interesting because like, yeah, nobody really like, well, not nobody, there were still people walking around, but the people who didn't want to be meat space just you know, put themselves into the internet, well, not the internet, but whatever it was called at that time. And so it was this sort of like, some people are still people who are like kind of slogging around in the dirt, and other people are like floating around in the metaverse, not the real, not the not the Zuckerberg metaverse. I got no legs. People have perfectly good noses, boobs, butts, teeth, etc., and get them swapped out for artificial. Well, they're artificial, but not like artificial. Like you don't have to keep putting like, I mean, yeah, some of them will definitely like degrade over time. You know, years ago, I got a crown put on in the back, and then after about 7 or 8 years, it fell off, and I was like, "What the heck?" And then the dentist is like, they're not going to stay in forever." And I'm like, "It's interesting how you never mentioned that when I was getting this thing put in." So yeah. Good morning from, gosh, I can't pronounce that. Quajk? Into Inuit land. That's pretty cool. North Quebec. Having a break from work with you guys. Well, nice. I apologize for not being able to pronounce the name of your area. Good morning from Virginia Beach. How you doing? The whole planned obsolescence, intentional unsupporting, and forced upgrade of parts was addressed in all films robots starring Robin Williams. I remember Bicentennial Man, but I don't think I ever watched it. I just remember hearing about it. Oh, the animated film Robots? I don't think I saw that either, but I remember seeing trailers for it. Good afternoon from a cloudy but thankfully dry Bridgend, South Wales. About to create some Stargrave Silver Bayonet crew. Nice. Morning from Kent, Ohio. Sitting here building the new Warhammer Quest Darkwater. Nice. Yeah, I didn't get that, and I got an email and they're like, "Hey, you want us to send this to you, and you can paint stuff and send us back photos by this time," and I just didn't respond. Guards of Trader's Toll is awesome. The minis come together like a dream, and the rules play really nicely. I'll have to take a look at that. I saw it. Where did I see it? When I was in Ohio at VinciCon, we went to a place, called Roundtable Games, and I think they had some of it on a shelf somewhere that I looked at, and I'm like, oh, I think I remember that name, but that was all I knew. I hope you have Codeblade on your list to talk about today. It's the best cyberpunk skirmish game out there. I've never heard of it. Let's see here. I see the planned obsolescence of limbs as something that someone in that world would take as the price of power more than anything. And as someone who replaced their phone recently, I felt like I was limbless until it was replaced. No, I get that. Yeah. Painting up some Thundercats today. Is there a Thundercats game? That's something. I knew about the He-Man one. I didn't know about Thundercats. Huh, interesting. Good morning from soaking Glasgow. Been playing Cyberpunk since the game Cyberpunk 2020. Love the setting and game so much, and the game, but I haven't found a good source for minis. Any ideas? I have an A1 mini after watching you. So what were the? Let me look here real quick. My mini factory trauma team. Let's see if we can find it right up in the. Look at that. Maybe. Well, that's weird. Anyway, this guy here, Papsicles Miniatures, that you can find on My Mini Factory, they have a lot of cool cyberpunk stuff. I just love it. This website can be a real thing. Okay. So I just recently painted up a bunch of their basically trauma team guys, which are, for the love of God. There we go. That's better. So I would look at this. Like these folks are pretty cool. They have a lot of different, like cool looking cyberpunk type models and things like that. So I would take a look probably at that. Now, whether these are going to print super well on an A1 mini or not, I don't know. The ones that I painted up, I had my friend Dave print for me in resin. So if you've been starting to get decent output with your A1 mini, like if you've got it dialed in and all the special settings, like from like, Dragon Forge and places like that or whatever, then you may get some decent quality. I've still never tried to print like a normal 28 millimeter person. I don't have an A1 mini, I have an A1. So I've not tried to print any like regular size things. I've printed 28 millimeter scale stuff, but they've been bigger robots, like the stuff that I did for Chrome Rangers. Both of the robots that I've printed for Chrome Rangers were on the A1 mini, and they are 28 millimeter scale, but like one's 5 inches tall, and the other one's like 6.5 almost. So I don't know about that, but I do really like these sculpts. And they have a bunch of different cool ones here. I bought a set, I think, of Trauma Team, but these are, there's tons and tons and tons of different, all kinds of, for some reason, I don't know why there's a Predator here in the Cyberpunk area, but sure, why not? Anyway, the one downside to Papsicles is that they definitely like to be like, oh yeah, well this is, how am I trying to say this? They love to kind of make things that are kind of counts as, you know what I mean? Like, well, these guys aren't, predators, but they, that kind of thing. Or these guys aren't aliens from the Aliens movies, but they are. Yeah. That also, and they do a lot of pin-up stuff too, which if you're not into that, then, there you go. But they do even, like, obviously, like, heading into this, you've got a Goblin Corpo agent. Well, that's more likely going to be for, like, say, Shadowrun, because Shadowrun's got, like, goblins and elves and dwarves and stuff in it. But, that's fine too. But yeah, I like their stuff. And like I said, I just recently finished painting a bunch of the like trauma team type stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if this is one person or what, but if it is, they must never sleep because they've just got zillions and zillions and zillions of different models. So that'd be my suggestion if you're looking for cool cyberpunk stuff as far as models are concerned. I hope my feedback on Chrome Rangers didn't come off too jerky. I am very interested in playing it, and I ordered a couple of Temu 3D print mechs to give it a try. Hopefully they match the pics. I don't know if I remember the feedback. Probably more Vince would. Well, I haven't. I keep an eye on the Discord. It hasn't struck me as jerky. So take that as it is. Just finished painting up all the minis for Gangs of the Undercity, a cyberpunk urban fantasy skirmish game. It even has solo mode. Never heard of that one either. Interesting. Just have my Pox Wretches to put together for my Darktide box. Cool. Or Dark Water, sorry. Morning from the Pocket Mansion. How you doing? Adepticon event card preview opens tomorrow. Yes. I don't know if we'll be listed in there or not. I literally just sent it in yesterday, but hopefully we will. But we're going to be doing the only event we're running at Adepticon is we're doing a live Snarlcast. Hopefully on Friday night. We'll see how it goes. Vince's classes are all on Thursday that he's teaching, and we kind of don't want to do it on Saturday night because I think that's when Scott and John are doing theirs. And they'll have a lot more folks than us, which is fine. But we're looking forward to doing a live podcast from Adepticon, and then it's not gonna be live streamed, but it's gonna be like, there'll be people there other than us, just us, and then we'll record it and it'll be up on the podcast stuff. The same like we did with Nova. That's the first place we tried it. So yeah. I can also recommend Codeblade. It's really fun models agnostic cyberpunk skirmish game that has a runner-up for the UKGE Best New Game a couple years ago. Neat. Oops, everything moved. Was it Repo Man? See, I'm thinking Repo Man, but Repo Men was a different one. Right. That's right. Come on. Wow, I was really behind. I apologize. Heavy snow north of New York City. Well, that's no good. There we go. Breaks over, back to work. Question for Uncle Adam in chat. What was something that was touted as the next great thing in the hobby that didn't pan out? New editions of 40K or any GW games or editions of D&D don't count. Gosh, I don't know. I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. You know what I mean? That like makes me go, oh yeah, that. No. Good morning from a lightly snowy Boston. Nice. How you doing, Fist and Stone? Earplugs have worked great for me. $50 on Amazon. Interesting. Vampire the Masquerade, when it came out, was the next big thing, but I guess it meant something more recent. I mean, Vampire the Masquerade did like a thing for a long time. Like I remember going to Gen Con back in the day when it was still in Milwaukee, and like, White Wolf would have a big booth. They were fancy. Can't wait for TMX next year. I need to get me a delicious burger from Mims again. A real butter burger. Nice. I don't know if I've ever been to Mims. That's in like Neenah or Menasha, I think, which is a couple like next town over. But I've heard of Mims though. But yeah, I'm looking forward to TMX as well. TMX is going to be the 13th and 14th, I think. 13th and 14th of June. It's usually the first weekend in June, but we couldn't get the Saturday in the first weekend of June because someone had already taken it for a wedding. So we had to take the next weekend. So yeah. The website's sort of updated, like the dates are on there, but some of the graphics don't match. And we still are showing last year's events, but sometime shortly after the beginning of the year, I'll update everything so people can start putting in events and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, and figure out like who's going to be teaching classes, if anybody, and all that kind of jazz. Vampire and the Other Worlds of Darkness games had their following, but I was wondering about something that was like this is game changing but bombed. To some degree, I would say Golem Arcana, if you remember that. Golem Arcana was a miniatures game, but you had to play it with an iPad or some other kind of tablet, and you had like a Bluetooth like stylus. It was a really super cool concept. They were like pre-painted miniatures, and then you would get this miniature and you'd be like, I want to move this miniature over here. And so you either would touch to the miniature's base or you'd touch it to the card for the miniature. And then it would show you on the iPad, oh, well, this miniature's got this much range and it can, or this much distance or speed or movement or whatever. So it can move to all these tiles. So you could be like, okay, I'm going to move this guy. You look at the iPad and you go, I can move it over here. I'm going to move it over there. And then you're basically telling the iPad what you're doing, but the iPad's kind of tracking all the rules. So you're never like in a situation where you're like, oh, geez, I forgot when I'm on a hill, I have extra +1 range to attack for shooting, because it'll just show you, you know? So it was a cool concept, and they were releasing all these plastic models and stuff like that that were like, again, pre-paints, and they were, and it was cool, and it had some really cool concepts, but it just didn't work out. It was made by Harebrained Schemes, which is run by the guy who started FASA, Jordan Weissman. Harebrained Schemes now is known better for their computer game, their video game, which is basically the BattleTech video game. They're like more kind of top-downish one, as opposed to the Mech Warrior games where you're in the mech or whatever, right? But yeah, I really did like, and I liked Golem Arcana. I owned a bunch of it and played it a good deal, and it was fun. But it didn't stick. Central Indiana, currently painting up some APCs for my OPR Grunt Robot Army. Nice. Vampire and the Other Worlds of Darkness games had their following. I was wondering about something that was this is game. Oh, gotcha. Okay. When I had to go out at 8 a.m. this morning, it was -15. Ew, that's no fun. Maybe when is my net weird or is the sync off? I'm just really behind in the comments. So yeah, that's generally the case. I start talking about something and then the comments keep coming, and yeah. So unless my lips are moving differently than the audio, then that's a different story altogether. But yeah. Maybe when Talisaurian et al. Came out with the interlock system for Champions Bubblegum Crisis, it didn't pan out. I don't even know what that means. I mean, I know a lot of those words. In the Cypher's Edge, only the rich military or specialist work laborers get any kind of cybernetic limbs. Makes a bit more sense. I mean, that's the thing. I get that. Like, but like, you know, in Cyberpunk 2077, the video game, you're walking around, all kinds of people are just walking around the streets with like a robot face or something like that. And you're like, oh, wow. When I still had computers, Apples tended to last longer beyond latest OS updates. PCs never lasted the 11 years I had my PowerBook did in the 2010s. Gotcha. I got Heroes at Rite Aid, flesh-colored earplugs when I was playing in bands. They came in handy. Sure. Hello from Austin, Texas. I got Rain and Iron. I only need to buy Demons since I already had BattleTech minis. There you go. Yeah, those will work great. Just want to say I'm finishing up the Bandai Brady Fox kit for Chrome Rangers. Nice. Let's see here. On your Patreon, could we also ask for your advice on starting a YouTube channel or ideas for content? Like in the Discord and stuff like that? Probably. I don't necessarily know that I'm an expert in that kind of stuff, but to some degree, sure, yeah, that's kind of a thing that like there's a lot of different discussions and things that go on in the Discord. So yeah, that could be certainly a thing. All the issues you have with cyberware as fashion and planned obsolescence is part of the game setting. It's a feature, not a bug. Also, lots of vets from the corporate wars got cyber limbs. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, I guess. The old Gargoyles cartoon had a couple of villains who became quad amputees to get cybernetic upgrades. It skeeved me out something fierce and still does. Yeah, no, I totally get that. They made a Cyberpunk 2030, if I remember correctly, 3.0 edition, but retconned it, had lots of intense, insensitive things in it. Interesting. It's a pretty normal leg, honestly, like a casing of some sort around the main body, but the socket attachment is a very cool scene from The Crow, printed on the outside. Oh, that's cool. Let's see here. I really enjoyed Cyberpunk 2077. Just like driving around in it is just amazing. It's just, yeah. In the old Star Wars RPG, cybernetics would keep you from gaining force points. More machine than man. Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, was it in Shadowrun where you'd like, well, even I think in Cyberpunk, you'd lose humanity to some degree the more cyberpunk stuff you get, right? I'm no prude, but Cyberpunk 2077 is a bit too much for me. Loved the old Talazorian RPG, though. Gotcha. When you downgrade your subscription on your arm and it freezes up so you pay attention to the ads. Oh, yeah. Every time I see an ad for something like AI Companion or Therapist, I just think of the film Her, which is truly a cyberpunk thought. I keep meaning to watch that. Molly Metroid, how you doing? Why can't Shadowrun ever get traction? I love the idea, but the execution isn't my favorite. I mean, it was pretty big back in the day, you know, when FASA owned it, it was pretty big. I think that, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel like Catalyst focuses more on BattleTech than they do on Shadowrun these days. BattleTech, I'm sure, makes them a ton more money. So yeah, I get that. Any chance of a Cyberpunk game in Snarl 2026? I don't know. Excuse me. We don't really have Snarl 2026 figured out yet. We know what we're doing, obviously, for our spring game that's coming up in late May of 2026, because it's nearly finished writing. Like, basically, so when the way that Vince writes stuff is that he will very frequently write a bunch of, like, we talked about this in the podcast. When you're playtesting, let's say you're going to have all kinds of different weapons, right, in your game. You don't write all the weapons and then start playtesting them. What you do is you write a couple of different weapons and start playtesting the way that weapons work. And then once you get that nailed down, then the rest of it is just kind of ephemera where you just sort of change values and things like that. And sure, there's still more playtesting there, but you just write a little bit of this to see, does this system work? Yes, no, tweak it, whatever. And then once you've got that nailed down, then you write the rest of the weapons or whatever it might be. It could be armor, it could be anything like that. Again, it's what he refers to as ephemera. So basically right now he's finishing up on the ephemera after the first and second run-throughs of playtesting and stuff like that. Tom, who's our lead developer, he is still doing more number crunching and things like that. When it comes down to, like, once you've like written it at all completely, if you need to go back and change this number from a 5 to a 6 or this number from that, you know, that's not hard to go to do, right? So the idea is that generally Vince wants to try to have the game written, but not like edited and ready to start, actually like publishing, but he wants to have it written by the end of the year. So that's generally the case. And also he generally like takes like the last week of the year off or whatever, that kind of thing, with work. So then he can kind of work on it more. So that's cool too. So that's kind of where we're at right now with the 2026 game. As far as Snarl 2026, we haven't even really started thinking about it yet. But the spring game for 2027, we do know what that's going to be as well. So we've got that kind of nailed down. But that's about as far ahead as we are. I think the most relatable cyberpunk film at this point is WALL-E. Interesting. AI has overtaken the populace by offering ease and comfort, which is everyone simply accepts over time. Have 4 gangs for this game and recently got the hardcovers. Nice. Corvus Games Terrain, how you doing? Afternoon from a very gray, wet, and windy Ireland. Speaking of Cyberpunk, the Corvus Games Terrain just had the Cyberpunk Terrain Kickstarter, GameFound Kickstarter, that was finished up. I own and want to play Cyberpunk 2077, but I can't get past the training session due to all the button pushing on my left hand. Interesting. I mean, admittedly, I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077 on like easy mode or whatever because I just don't care to play hard mode on a video game anymore. Like, what? Why? I'm more interested in like the story and like experiencing it versus being like, oh, I totally beat it on nightmare mode or where I don't care. So yeah, but I don't. I guess I haven't had that issue. I mean, and again, I'm playing it on PS5, so it is a lot of button pushing, I suppose. Instead of playing it on PC, I did play it. Excuse me. Did I play it on PC? I feel like I own it on PC, but I just haven't played it in forever on PC. I don't remember now. Interesting. I don't like, other than my, because I know I don't have, or no, I do I? Yeah, maybe I do have it on PC because it's on my Steam Deck. It's just not uploaded onto my Steam Deck, but it was, I think there's an option where I could. I must have, yeah. I just haven't played my actual gaming PC in a long time because it's pretty old. That's right. I did play it on PC because when it first came out and it was all glitchy and stuff like that, the least glitchy platform was the PC. Like when it first came out, the consoles were super glitchy. That's right. That's right. Cyberware seems cool when you play games. Real world cyberware would definitely get you jaded due to the updates and planned obsolescence realities. Yeah, I agree. I think the cyberpunk future is just a way stop towards the 40K future. I don't know. We're definitely not heading in the direction of Star Trek. Yeah, that is a bummer. We're running towards Blade Runner without the cool cars and good noodles. I think there's still places you can get good noodles, probably. But the flying cars is a difficult, yeah. I want cyberware I can program in Turbo Pascal. Ooh. Many of us in this hobby are already cyber enhanced with lenses over our eyes to aid with sight. True. Likely one of us is even sporting tools and metrics to measure and amend heart rhythms. Also true. I mean, not me, but yeah. Dune has that future feudal crap too. You're right. Yeah, good point. Traveler also had a noble class. I never played Traveler. I had a friend who was super huge into it, but I never really got into it. We complain about these big corporations, but we keep feeding the beast. Yeah, that's true. Largely the rich are rich because their parents are rich, so no divine royalty. But rich power is just as inherited as divine royalty. But it's different because it's not, you know what I mean? If you're just like, well, you're just saying that because you're a rich guy, as opposed to, well, you know, you're saying that and we should believe you because of the divinity thing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I've been itching to play a Cyberpunk skirmish game, so I'm putting together a crew made from one member of each of the original Metal Necromunda gangs. Neat. I mean, I would say Necromunda is about as close as Cyberpunk, as close as Warhammer stuff gets to Cyberpunk. If you're interested in Cyberpunk, Necromunda is going to be your best bet, is what I'm going to say. But even then, Got to remember that in 40K and Dune, the setting is post-apocalyptic after the cyberpunk future collapsed. I mean, yes, especially with Dune. Yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately, the actual future will probably make for a crappy game. Also true. I got some Conquest stuff to try out. What do you think of the system? I don't like rank and flank games. I've not played Conquest Last Argument of Kings. I have played a previous version of First Blood, which is their not rank and flank game. It's First Blood's closer to, I would say, kind of like Age of Sigmar, you know, where you've got squads and they're kind of amorphous and you know, you don't have to move them in rank and file and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of rank and flank games. I'm not so Conquest, obviously, you know, the old world, Kings of War. There's just none of those have ever been my jam. But that said, I think the models are pretty cool now. Like when they first came out, the models were nice sculpts, but the detail was incredibly soft. But they've gotten better with their mold manufacturing, so the details are a lot sharper in the newer models from Conflict. The scale being up to like 38ish is a little not necessarily my like. I like stuff a little bit smaller, like heading back closer to like 28 to 32. 38 is like the difference between, and I've had this discussion a bunch of times, the difference between 28 and 32 is pretty negligible. I have this picture Vince sent me of Arnold Schwarzenegger during the filming of, I think, Conan the Destroyer. And it's him on set with Wilt Chamberlain and Andre the Giant. Wilt Chamberlain's in the movie. I think Andre the Giant was just visiting. But you've got 6'2", Arnold standing next to these other two guys, and they are just like he looks tiny next to the two of them, and they're all the same scale. So when people are like, it's 32, I prefer 28. To me, I'm like, that's so close, it doesn't matter. But when you start heading into like 38 and 40, 40 being like Shatterpoint and Marvel Crisis Protocol, Lunchtime Rainbow or whatever, then you're like, okay, well now that's a bigger, much more noticeable difference, I think. So yeah, it's, I don't know. But that being said, specifically for Conquest, the like undead Romans, I think are a really cool faction. So yeah. Morning, Uncle Adam and minions, and early season's greetings to you, and best wishes for the new year. I have some Warlord Games Household Cavalry to kit bash into vegetable people. Ooh, praise the root. Thundercats are a zombicide expansion. I had not heard that at all. That is crazy. Happy time of day to you. Does having a medical implant make you a cyborg? Kinda, yeah. Friend of mine, he had a, what is it? He got a, years ago, he had some sort of hernia. And so they had to put some sort of mesh in his groin. And so he was always like, I'm a cyborg. And we're like, sure. Your Battletech Aces video from a few weeks back initiated an epiphany. There you go. Make an unkind comment about Elon Musk on social media, and there are people who will bite your head off about criticizing the great man. So some Americans are definitely primed to accept royalty. Again, it's not royalty, but there's definitely some hero worship, I guess. Let's say that. Pretty sure there would be some cyberpunk limb cults built around Linux programming. Oh, for sure. Unit 9 on My Mini Factory has good minis too. That name sounds familiar. Should definitely give a chance to Warzone Eternal, new tabletop game set in classic Mutant Chronicles universe. Did it ever come out? Like, they had a Kickstarter, like, was that Kickstarter pre-pandemic or post-pandemic? Did it ever come out? I remember, but yeah. Bit of a Puppets War fan due to their Python Holy Grail minis. If you're interested in corporate nobility, look into the Samsung family in South Korea. Samsung has massive social influence in that country. I mean, well, money, hauls a lot of water. You know what I mean? Papsicle is awesome. Been a supporter for a while now. Nice. Yeah, I like buying. I've like, honestly, I'll be frank with you. This, I think I want to get this and see if I can print it in FDM. I'm assuming I probably can. Like, just to have this like parked on my Cyberpunk table would be pretty cool, and I think I could probably print that in FDM. So I might have to pick that up after the show and then print it. Anyone have a recommendation for resin for tabletop? Tenacious seems like they changed the formula, and small bits seem brittle now. Oh, I had no idea. I don't really know much, like I said, about resin printing. I'm more of an FDM guy myself, but figuring out how Battlefield support works has got me exploring the possibilities to expand my Battletech game into combined arms. I do like the little tanks. I don't really want the dudes. I don't want like infantry, but I do like the little tanks a little bit. Helicopters might be neat too. I don't know. Or other, VTOL type things. There we go. Hi from Brazil. How you doing? Getting stuff together for Star Wars flavored 5 parsecs from home, so that's been going through STLs. Nice. Got back into 2000 AD just in time for all the Warlord 2000 AD games to be discontinued, but I found the ABC Warriors set for a good price. I think I remember you saying you have the Dread one. I do. Excuse me. I have the Dread one. I haven't painted any of it yet. running a grueling schedule of games for Adepticon, 9 a.m. through 11 p.m. Ugh, that's a lot. Jeez. Yeah, I am, like, I'll be, it got real bright again, didn't it? I will be at, I'm assuming I'll be at the Army Painter booth on and off. And then, I want to film a lot of stuff. Like I had a meeting a couple nights back. Earlier this week, I had a meeting with Hank and Matthias from Adepticon. They're the two main guys who run things. And they're definitely expanding the... I'm going to have to turn this down a touch, which I hate to mess with it, but there we go. They're expanding the indie offerings at Adepticon, or at least attempting to. Like, they're definitely, pushing more area for indie folks and stuff like that, which I'm a big fan of, obviously. So, and they were like, hey, do you guys want to run some, like, Snarling Badger events? And I was like, no, we talked about it already, but we kind of don't. It's just, I don't know. We're lazy is basically what the case is, and that's fine. So, anyway, oh, but my point is that I want to make, one of the videos I do want to try to make this year at Adepticon is really showcasing the indie stuff. Like, I want to make a video about, because here's the thing, there are indie conventions out there. I mean, TMX is basically kind of an indie convention, but it's like 100 people. You go to like something like Under the Dice Fest, and that's pretty indie. I'm going to, at this point, consider More Time to be indie, even though it's made by Games Workshop, because Games Workshop hasn't supported it in like 2 decades. So I'm still going to consider that indie. But I don't know if Under the Dice Fest is more than 200 or 250 people. So again, it's a relatively smallish convention, which is awesome. But even though it's maybe 10,000 people at Adepticon, the hope is that if even 500 to 600 to 700 of those people there are predominantly for indie stuff, maybe, then that becomes like the biggest indie convention in the country, right? So I want to drive that to some degree if I can. So I do want to do a bunch of filming in the kind of the indie area, and maybe do some interviewee type things. I'm not sure. So, but that's a plan that I've got for this upcoming year. That being said, like I said, Vince and I are not going to run anything. Like, we talked about it actually a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, should we try it? And he's like, yeah, it's the same thing that people ask us. They're like, well, why don't you guys have a booth at these conventions? And then we're like, because then we got to sit at the booth. I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I know you are already inundated with terrain, but as long as we're talking about Cyberpunk, the new Edo Kanto set of STL Japanese Cyberpunks are built gorgeous by... Yeah, oh yeah, I backed the Kickstarter. Yeah. Got a pesky little girl with a rocket launcher. Neat. Darkwater tempted me, but the I'll never play it vibe went out. Yeah. Plus it's over $200. Yeah, it's like $255 or something crazy like that. Preferred Cyberpunk, tech-only Cyberpunk, like Cyberpunk 2077, or Magic Cyberpunk, like Shadowrun? Oh, I already talked about that. Yeah, no, the former, not the latter. Like I said, played Shadowrun for years with some friends and everything like that, but these days I'm just kind of like, I don't want to, yeah. So, GW framing their second edition 40K monopose plastics as an improvement over Rogue Trader multipose plastics comes to mind. Then they touted third edition's multipose plastics as an improvement over the second ones. Well, you got to always say that the thing is better than the last thing, and that's marketing, I guess. Are you ready for the holidays? No. My wife's sister is coming to stay with us. She's not showing up this upcoming Monday, but next Monday. So, like, she'll be here the week of Christmas, from like Monday till Saturday. So this upcoming entire week, and then next weekend, my wife and I are going to be cleaning, because we're basically messy people. Hero Quest app works similarly, acts as a virtual Morcar. Ooh. Greetings from Wexford, listening while painting Trader Guard. Nice. Bubblegum Crisis was an anime. Our Talisorian did an RPG based on it using their fusion system. It was bad. Oh, well, that's a bummer. Read a ton of the World of Darkness games, but it's weird how it became a lifestyle for some people. Oh, yeah. Oh, Finecast, that was one of those things that people were like, oh, this is the next big thing. Have you ever played the tabletop game called The Doomed? It was a great DIY your own minis and small skirmish game. It's great. I think it's over there somewhere. Oh, yeah, right there. It is. Yeah, I do have it right there over there. It's in my Osprey section. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a cool game. I was initially sort of like, how is this with the movement where you don't have a movement? Like you just move where you want to move at all times and stuff like that. And they do a thing in the book that's like, well, if you just want to do 6 inches, do 6 inches. If it's too much of a problem, then, I get it. I have unfortunately not gotten to play it. I've read through it to some degree and I like the concepts and I think it's interesting. And I think I even watched a battle report by Ash Barker, of course. But yeah, I haven't gotten a chance. I know it's got a solo component too, and I kind of want to look into that as well. And I've got models that I could just use, so I wouldn't even have to like crank, make new stuff, right? Which is always the benefit of the miniature agnostic stuff. I think I bought that. I either bought it at Adepticon or Gen Con several years back. Been away from the hobby for a while. Happy to catch the Sunday show again. Well, glad to have you. Absolutely. I remember Gargoyles. I don't know if I watched it, but I remember it. Just reprimed and am rebasing 26 1996 Space Marines. Wow. Sales between Battletech and Shadowrun aren't even close. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I've tentatively finished my first game for publication on Wargames Vault or itch.io. Nice. Just wanted to ask your advice on copyright notice in the PDF. I guess we just kind of follow whatever the sort of standard is. You know what I mean? I don't know that there's like, I don't know. We probably looked at somebody else's book and was like, or several other games and we're like, well, let's do it this way. And, but we've never gotten into the, what do you call it? Like Creative Commons or anything like that, Definitely check out Neon Skies for a Shadowrun type game. Interesting. Wouldn't be more beneficial to wait for FAQs before making a games book version? Just wondering. I don't think I get the question. Has anyone played Wylock's cyberpunk game Neon Skies? I know Wylock. I mean, I don't know him, but I know his channel. I didn't realize he made a game. That's cool. Not a mini game, but I played Shadowrun and had a character that used a crossbow with an underslung crossbow. It was a double crossbow. Ooh, oh, I get you. The point of that character was to double cross the team. Gotcha. So like there was a crossbow that pointed this way and then another one that pointed like kind of back that way. So you could like pull a different trigger and then shoot your friend. Sounds fun. Judge Dredd Cyber Future is the most likely. I just watched Dredd movie again with what's his name there? Carl Urban. That's such a good movie. Hope you've had a great week. It's okay. It was not too bad. Like I said, a lot of snow, so there was a lot of shoveling. Because like the first time that it snowed, like the big snow initially, it was like mashed potatoes. It was just really wet and sticky. And then our little kind of dinky snowblower is just like, no, dog, I can't. Nope. So that was a lot of hand shoveling and everything like that. And then there was a second snow that was, I could have snowblowed, but it was like there wasn't barely enough. It was like that kind of line where I feel stupid out there snowblowing when there's like maybe an inch or two of snow and you're like, and it's real floofy. So, but it got floofy because the temperature dropped. And then that third snow, that was a snowblow kind of thing, but it was not as much as the first time, but it was also, again, because it was so cold, it was very fluffy. So it's easier to blow. When it snows, but it's also kind of warm, then yeah, our snowblower is just like, nope, because it's just, It just plugs there's the thing that does this, right? That's important to this thing. And then it makes the snow go up this chute and then fire out someplace, and it just gets clogged in the chute constantly. And then it just sits there and spins and not much happens, which is annoying. So then you stick your hand down inside there to try to get it out and everything like that. It's not a smart thing to do. I mean, if it's not running, it's fine. But power is power, either given to you by your supposed God-given right or the fact that you have enough money to make the rules whatever you want them to be. But I think that, sure, but when you know where, as the person who doesn't have the power, where you know where it's coming from, like if you're God-fearing, say, back in the Middle Ages or whatever, then you have to pay attention to what this royalty says because God said so. But if you're just like, I have to pay attention to what this guy says because he has a lot of money, it's got a different vibe, I feel. I don't know. Lenses on my face, buds in my ears, blood sugar monitor disc on my upper arm, cyber something. Punk, geek, maybe all the above. I get it. Warmaster is my jam, but it's a different take on Warhammer Fantasy, a huge step towards a more realistic game, but the large 10mm armies look amazing. Never played Warmaster. Andre was the monster that the wizard turned into, wasn't he? Oh, was he? Oh, I've seen Conan Barbarian a bunch of times. I think I've only seen the Destroyer maybe once a zillion years ago. In the picture, he's just wearing like a white shirt and like pants, whereas Arnold and Wilt are in their like movie costumes. So Crisis Protocol Lunchtime Rainbow is an expansion I could get behind. There you go. I like 40mm scale, but I use it for my Combat Tales mini STLs, but it's mostly because the game I'm working on does a lower model count. Gotcha. For me, the big scales like that, the main problem for me is that then I have to come up with all new terrain, because otherwise, like if you're using 28/32mm or, scale terrain, and then you've got 40mm guys, then everything looks kind of weird again. So yeah, that's for me the issue is that I generally stick into the 28/32 because then my terrain kind of I could be like, oh, I'm going to take this thing and this thing and this thing from 3 different games and slap them together and make it work, I've had a lot of luck dropping resin minis made with Sunlu ABS-like resin. Interesting. I picked up some Warzone at Origins this year. I'll be dipping it again this year. So it's out. Is that what you're saying? See, I didn't realize it was out. Interesting. You used to mix Tenacious with Fast, but recently haven't noticed much of a difference. Interesting. Because, yeah, I've heard of Tenacious. It was an additive, wasn't it? That you added to regular resins, and then it made them more robust. Less brittle, hopefully. For those that want a good combined arms game with mechs, tanks, and useful infantry, I recommend Revelation Skirmish. I've heard that one. Interesting. My wife has had DBS, deep brain stimulation surgery, for her Parkinson's disease. It involves electrodes implanted deep in her brain, getting signals from a device in her chest. She's a cyber chick. Well, that's cool. I hope it helps. Have you seen the Unit 9's models on My Mini Factory? Like I said, the name sounds familiar, but I don't remember them directly. Slowly painting up trolls while impatiently waiting for the Minnesota temp to finally go into the positives. -15 at the moment. Yeah, it's 0 here. Hooray. We're heading in the right direction. You should cultivate a GM crew to run your SBS games, Snarling Badger Studios games. I mean, if some people were interested, I mean, like a couple years back when we were running Tanks for the Apocalypse, I know that Terrence, aka Chevenger, or Chevenger, it's like Chicago, but with Chicago Avenger, Chevenger. Anyway, he was running a Space Station Zero event. So that was super cool and unexpected, but it was very nice. And he had a bunch of people who seem to have a really good time. So that's cool too. Um, yeah, I don't know how we would do that. I mean, do you pay those folks or do you? I mean, because I mean, we don't really have any product to send them for free. They probably already have the product. We could send them books, I guess, if they wanted like for prizes, maybe. I don't know. It's a good question. Something to think about. Like we do not have like a street team or whatever. You know, like a lot of games will be like, hey, if you're, you know, like what did GW used to call them? Outriders or something like that. But there's a lot of different game companies that will have like people who volunteer to run stuff and then they get like free product, I guess, or things like that. Um, I know they got real weird with the press gangers for War Machine, and then that became like a weird legal issue. So there's all that, you know. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. My friends convinced me to go to Adepticon this March, but I realized that other than some painting classes, I have no idea what I'll be doing there. I mean, obviously there's like a big vendor hall, so you can take a look at all kinds of great stuff there, but there's also just tons of different games to like check out. Like even like there's stuff to demo and things like that, and that's cool. But there's also just like going and like watching people play certain games and things like that. There's plenty to do, but you may have to look for some of it a little bit, you know. But it's my favorite convention. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'll be running Turn Up 28 events at Adepticon this year. Nice. It's a fantastical, quirky game. It is. If you haven't checked it out, I'd love to walk you through a game at Adepticon this year. Oh, I'm familiar with Turnip. Yeah, for sure. Again, it doesn't have to be rank and flank. That's the thing that's interesting about it is you can either play it rank and flank or you can play it not rank and flank, from what I remember. But yeah, I've been a supporter of the Turn Up 28 Patreon for a number of years. I painted some of when they first came out with their first STLs. Max sent me some of them, and then I had my friend Dave print them, or else I had Matt print them. I had somebody print them, and then I painted them on Twitch and stuff like that. So yeah, they're super fun models. They were sculpted by Saint Decent. I'm 98% sure. Those initial ones. Having a cyberpunk morning over here in South Carolina, putting some Infinity minis together. Nice. I need to do that too. I have Infinity minis around here somewhere, or over there. I need that essential starter box. I really need to put those models together and paint them. Looking forward to playing the Doomed. I backed the mech game Mac Attack by the same author. Going to be a big part of my upcoming year of mech games. Nice. I haven't heard of Mac Attack. That's interesting. Dread, the only movie to use slow motion appropriately. Yeah, that is, yes, I agree. I'm just finishing a 7-inch 3D printed Carl Urban Dread while finishing the stream, or watching the stream. Nice. Money is a superiority complex. Original royalty was like the Pope. Yeah. Inquisitor being a different scale than 40K was such a mistake. Yeah, that was, especially as how big it was. Like 54 millimeter is like a huge difference. And they just, I don't know. So, like, and it was a different time, admittedly, but the fact that it was like, hey, let's make this twice as large as normal miniatures, and also kind of let's require it that you have to use a GM. You know what I mean? Like a game master. That was a big ask, even back then. I think he was uncredited, interestingly. Unit 9 did the human interface Nakamura Tower and Be a Better Human Kickstarters a few years back. Nice. I run a small resin print farm. For resin, I use Elegoo 8K ABS-like, and I get very good results. I also use a lot of Elegoo printers. Sunlu ABS-like also works really well. Interesting. I've just been using the Bamboo Lab filament mostly. I do have one spindle of Sunlu that I haven't tried yet, but it was under the suggestion of the Dragon Forge people, and I haven't tried it. But otherwise, for all the terrain stuff that I just use PLA Basic, I think, from Bamboo Lab. I like that you can buy it just on the core and you don't get the whole spindle, because the spindles, like, you can pop them apart and then you put a new core in there, and I kind of like that. Do you, Vince, or yourself ever accept unsolicited STL files? If you did, what would you look for? I mean, so, okay, we've worked with one company so far. We've worked with Knucklebones Miniatures. And so we worked with Knucklebones Miniatures on Death Wizards. So that was a situation of, I think we reached out to them, although he might have reached out to me. I don't remember how we got that going, but it was a situation where it was like, look, the stuff that you do already is right up our street as far as what we're looking at for this. So if you would be interested in working with us on this. And so we worked out a deal where basically, like, we share sort of ownership. Well, we don't share ownership. They own the models, the 6 different necromancers that they designed. And then we just basically get a cut of sales for a couple of years. And then at the end of the couple of years, then it's just all him. So again, we're not trying to make like a huge amount of money off of STLs. We're just like, if we can find a cool STL person where we like, because we get people all the time who are like, hey, so what models should I use? And we're like, well, it's miniature agnostic. You can use whatever you want. And then they go, yeah, that's cool. So what model should I use? So partially that's why we always put a blog post up after a game goes live saying, here's a bunch of places to go look for models. But also we've kind of worked with people in the past. Now, if you were interested, like, we've got an email address on the website. You could send us like an email address to like a portfolio or something like that, because sometimes we're looking for things and we might work with somebody. But what we don't want to do, frankly, is we don't want to like pay somebody to make stuff. Like, and that sounds bad. It's not like we're like, oh, we want free work. No, we're just like, in a perfect world, what we would do is, in many situations, I think in a perfect world, we would work it with like an affiliate link. Like, if a company was like, look, we have this, either they made the sculpts to work with our game, or we found some sculpts that they really liked, that they already made, that we really like, that we think would work for our game. And we can work out some sort of affiliate link situation, so that if we send a person, because like, so games, Death Wizards, right? So here are the 6 models, right, for Knucklebones. And if you click on the links, they take you to My Mini Factory, and so you can download the STL, right? Well, My Mini Factory still to this day does not have the ability to do any kind of affiliate link thing, which I think is dumb. But My Mini Factory's got their own issues. Like, there's times, like certain times a day when you try to use My Mini Factory and it's just so slow. So I think they've got way more traffic than they know how to run, you know what I mean? A little bit. Anyway, so you see these models and you're like, oh, this is cool. I like that guy, or I like this lady over here, or whatever the deal is. And you order the thing, but then basically Knucklebones every month has to look and see how many they sold. And then we do this, the calculations. And then every month they send us money via PayPal, which is a bummer as far as like, it's more work, you know what I mean, on their part, obviously, but it is what it is. But after 2 years, which will be coming up at the end of, the end of May. So basically at the end of May, they're going to just become their models. Now, we're still going to leave them here on our website because we still want to send them traffic and stuff like that, but they won't be splitting any money with us anymore, which is fine. That's part of the deal. We also didn't pay anything up front either. So there's that. But in a perfect world, it would be slightly automated in that when we click, if you click on this War Reaper to go buy it, it would automatically register that it came from our site, and therefore we would get some sort of money, right? So if we could figure something like that out, that'd be great, but I don't know, we'll see. You can do it, like we already do it with Wargame Vault. So if you like, if you ever take a look at the link here, it says buy now through wargamevault.com. And it says, www.wargamevault.com/product/long number/Death Wizards. And then there's a question mark. And then it says affiliate ID number. And then it's our affiliate ID number. So we get an affiliate link. We get like affiliate money for sending people to Wargame Vault to buy our game, which seems like double dipping. And I reached out to them when we first started out back in 2021. And I'm like, do we really get to have an affiliate link on our own product? And they're like, are you sending people to our website? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, then yes, that's how that works. I'm like, okay, cool. So when you go to when you go to Wargame Vault and you see Death Wizards or any one of the games and you've never heard of us and you're just like, oh, this game is like in third place or first place or whatever on the bestseller list, I'll try it out. Then we just get our part of the sale, but we don't get the affiliate link, which is why when people ask us, hey, I'd like to buy your game, we always tell them to go to Snarling Badger. And then when they click the link to take them, then we get to double dip a little bit. So in the perfect world, we would love to be able to do that. But currently, there doesn't seem to be a way to do it with My Mini Factory, which is dumb. They got to get their stuff together. But yeah, that's kind of where that's at. So if you've got like a portfolio or anything like that, we always want to take a look at stuff like that because, there are times where our next game that's coming out in spring, we're hopefully going to be doing some chatting with a company that I've reached out to about maybe working with them and having some STLs and stuff available, but we'll see how it goes. It always depends because, there's a lot going on. I'm kind of losing my voice here. That's great. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. All right. Let's see here. Mac Attack is the same designer of the Doomed. Gotcha. I briefly met Chris, evidently. This was 2-3 years ago, maybe. I was in line at Gen Con in the press area. So I get a press pass to go to Gen Con. So I don't have to buy a ticket. I've got a press badge, but then I can't really sign up for any events. And there's it's a thing, but whatever. One of the biggest benefits is that you can just pick up your badge on Thursday morning as opposed to having to stand in a long line on Wednesday night or get it shipped to you or whatever. So you just stand in a relatively shorter line. But if I get there early, then it can be kind of a long line, but not as long as the normal line. But it's over in the press area. So anyway, I was in line and I'm heading in just about into the building. And then this guy says hi to me, or not the building, but the office. And so I could only talk to him for a little bit because otherwise I would have had to get out of line. But he's the guy that wrote The Doomed and seemed like a nice dude, but I haven't really been able to talk to him since. So I know a lot of people who bought Inquisitor models to use as 40K terrain statuary. I can see that. I use my FDM printers for terrain and the resin printers for minis and busts. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's what I said. I mainly do terrain. Although I've, like I said, done some bigger robots and stuff like that. But yeah, Bamboo Lab filament is really good. To be honest, I buy the refills 10 at a time. I think I bought 8 refills when all the tariff stuff started because I was like, oh, I think the prices are going to go a little crazy. And so I bought 8 rolls of the PLA Basic, in gray, I think. And then I don't think their prices have changed much. So I don't know. But still, it's not going bad, I don't think. Have you tried any of the speed paint markers or the Vallejo paint markers? Yeah, I've tried the speed paint markers. They sent me some of the speed paint markers. They are they don't particularly fit in my workflow. I can absolutely see the benefit of them, especially the metallic ones. If you paint a lot of chaos, those metallic speed paint markers are going to be a godsend. Because of all the trim and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I have used the Grim Black one a good deal here and there in certain situations. For me, though, the thing that I find sometimes difficult is that they're real hard to get into real tight nooks and crannies. So, but for I think where they're really going to shine, besides the Chaos Trim thing, I think the other thing, the place where they're going to shine is in board game minis. Because board game minis, 9 times out of 10, you don't have to put them together, right? So very frequently they're not as closed up. They don't have like, oh, I've got to hold this gun closely over my, you know what I mean? Like they have a tendency to be a little bit more open pose. So you can get that tip of that marker in there and paint a lot of things. But as soon as you like try to paint a Space Marine with it, there's going to be parts you're not going to be able to reach at because the arm is in the way and the gun and the bolter and all that kind of stuff. So I think there's certain situations in which they will work fine. You know, like these miniatures here from like these guys, you know, she's got that scythe, and so that might be a little bit hard to get at on the insides of stuff, but the most of the rest of these models are none of these are all single pieces. They're none of them are like come in multi-part. So, you know, you should be able to paint a good portion of the model because you can get in there with the marker and stuff like that pretty easily. So, yeah. I've got 1 gigabytes per second, whatever. I've got, you've got fast internet, and my manufacturing is still incredibly slow at times. Yeah, no, same here. I mean, I've only got, I think we've got fiber, and it's like 600 up and down. It's also like only $70 a month, which is not too bad. But yeah, it's not my internet. I'll tell you that. Animaster, how you doing? Let's see here. I hate the Xenos bounty hunter species from Inquisitor. Never came out in 40K scale. That guy looked awesome. I don't think I remember that model. I only remember seeing a couple of different models for Inquisitor. I own the Inquisitor book somewhere. There was a copy of it at not a local game store, but a game store a couple towns over. There was a copy of it, and I bought that copy probably in, I'm 98% sure it was pre-pandemic. So it was probably like 2017, 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. I bought it at this semi-local game store, and it had just been sitting on the shelf since 2004 or 2001 or whenever that game initially came out. Like it was a little beat up, but it was not used. It is just shelf worn because it had been there for so long. And I had seen it many, many times when I was there. And then finally I was just like, I'm going to pick it up. Why not? And it's an interesting read, but yeah, it is definitely something. But the whole concept of like the reason I picked it up mainly was because I was starting to see more and more people talking about like Inquisition 28, which is basically Inquisition, but just not 54 millimeter scale. And the whole Inq 28 thing was becoming a big thing. So I'm like, oh, I should check this out. I just don't have it on my bookshelf. Well, part of my plan this week is obviously to clean in this office as well, since like I said, company's coming. And I also want to like, this one here, that like drawer, I think I'm going to pull this drawer out of there to have more space for books. And I think this drawer might go down here where there's like that little hole where cats can go in. Cause like they basically never go in there anymore. So I think I might just, I don't know, we could put that, that thing could go in the bedroom because we have shelfy thingies like this that I think are the same size in the bedroom, and then maybe they could hang out in there. Sometimes if you just move things around, cats are like, oh, now I like this thing. Like you had this cat bed there for, I've been ignoring it for years, and now you moved it over here, and now I'm all about it, you know, because cats. My manufacturing is just slow in general, can be a right pain to use in the creator side. Can see that, yeah. Just got the Jabba's Realm expansion for Imperial Assault. Is it old? Are they still making Imperial Assault stuff? That's interesting. Excited to paint the Rancor. I think he needs tattoos. Would a Rancor sit still for tattoos? It's interesting. I have a couple of Inquisitor figures and the book. I only recall being about 6 to 8 released, but there were a lot more than that. I guess the local FLGS only got the first release and gave up. Yeah. Where's Nick going to be? Oh, currently he's in the kitchen, I think. My wife had a gig last night, and then she came home, and he made it about as far as the kitchen, and then maybe, yeah, no, she's still home. But yeah, she was playing. There's like a Christmas Nutcracker kind of experience. There's this thing called there's this art center here in town, and it's an old building from the 1800s. It's called the Payne Art Center, and it's very, I don't know, kind of ornate and castle-y sort of whatnot. And at Christmas time, they always have this like Nutcracker experience thing where you like go and you pay, and then you're in this room for a while, and the guy does a monologue and whatever, and there's music and stuff like that, and then you go to another room, and it's a whole thing. Anyway, she was a alternate this year because some people needed to take some who were like in the normal like quartets and stuff like that. I don't know, they had some other reason they couldn't be there, so she was doing some of that this year. So she had like, I think she had to play twice, maybe 2 nights, or was it 3? I don't know. This time of year, I barely see her because it's between nowadays, between the bell choir stuff, and then now she's in the symphony again, and then now she's also kind of doing this side gig for the Nutcracker thing. It's been a lot of her being gone with playing gigs and stuff. But I think it'll be done. I think that she's basically done maybe this week. So. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, Nick, my wife's cello case is named Nick Raimondo. It's a long story, but he's usually standing back kind of there in the window. Oh, no, he is right there. Never mind. He was in the kitchen earlier, though, but you can kind of see him. Back when I used to do the videos, instead of here from in the sunroom, I used to do them in the dining room. He would stand behind me, and it was a whole thing. I do think about sizing up STLs and making Inquisitor for fun, which means mainly just for me. Sure. Can you airbrush army paint or speed paints? Oh yeah, absolutely. I do it all the time. The thing that's interesting about shooting them through an airbrush is that they are still transparent. Now, when you shoot speed paints through an army paint or speed paints, when you shoot them through an airbrush, they will no longer do the speed paint thing. So when you put speed paint onto a miniature, you put it on kind of thicker, right? Like it's you don't put it on like super thin, you put it on a little bit thicker and then kind of move it around and all that kind of stuff. But it has a tendency to sink into the crevices and the detail bits and then get darker, and that's the whole trick. So it's like normal color in one spot and then like darker in like the folds of the sweatshirt or whatever. So that's the benefit of using, especially on very texture heavy things. That's what the benefit is of using speed paint. When you shoot it through an airbrush, it will not sink into crevices and do stuff like that. I almost never use it on miniatures through an airbrush. Well, if I'm trying to tint something, especially if I'm trying to do like what they call an anti-zenithal, which is to say you have a miniature, right? Like some stubby little Grey Knight like this. And if you spray like a darker kind of speed paint color, like normally with a zenithal, you're spraying a lighter color from above, right? You prime this guy black and you spray white paint down from above, and that makes him look like he's lit from above, right? You can use speed paint and shoot it up to basically add sort of a warm shadow. Let's say if you used a warm color, but you could also make it a cool color. You could do whatever you want. So you could do that kind of anti-zenithal where you're firing it up underneath, from, later on as you've painted a bunch of it. The big benefit to shooting shooting speed paint through your airbrush is that it is transparent, so it won't cover the paints that are already there. It'll just add to them. So for me, I use speed paints on nearly every piece of terrain that I make. Like I'll paint the stuff, the terrain with I'll spray paint a bunch of stuff on there, and then whatever I'm doing, whatever color I'm doing, and then I will usually darken it along the bottom with like a warm color, either pallid bone or bony matter are my two go-tos for airbrushing speed paint. And it's like when you see a building, you know how like when it rains and stuff like that, and then the rain hits the ground and splashes up a little bit of dirt over time, and then the bottom of the building is a little bit darker than everything else. It's the same type of vibe. So I use them. I shoot airbrush. Yeah, I shoot speed paint through an airbrush all the time because in scale modeling, they would call it a filter because it is a transparent color you're putting over to change the initial color, but not cover the initial color. You know what I mean? Is your 3D printer the A1 Mini or the A1? I have an A1. I have an A1. 52 miniatures. How you doing? Good to see you. Hope all is well. Catching you a bit late. Not a problem. Nick is the patron saint and holy savior of the channel. Cats are moving Nick around at night to freak you out. I mean, Rex was just a jerk this morning. He was definitely, from about 4 o'clock on, he was just like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's going on? Are you sleeping? What are you doing? Ugh. And then just before my alarm went off, then all of a sudden George was like, also, hey, what's going on? Hey. And they were both just jerks. Just learned the Gundam base opened in Chicago. I've had to go to the one in Bangkok for my Gundam needs all this time. I have no idea what a Gundam base is. Interesting. Nadriel priming is from below, which is the Anir versus the Zenith. I just like to, it's anti-Zenith is funny. I think because years ago, Sam did a video on my channel about anti-Zenithal, and I remember I made his eyes glow in the thumbnail. Did all the bodies for my Conquest Minotaurs with airbrushing speed paints for the natural looking blends and brush on the fur bits. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, when you use the speed paints through the airbrush, it doesn't like flow into the crevices and all that kind of stuff. It becomes more of just like a transparent filter that goes over stuff for the most part. Let's see. There's a StarCraft miniatures game coming. Yeah, from Archon Studios. Yes, Archon Studios out of Poland. They have the what do you call it? The license, I guess, and they're going to be. I think it comes out at Adepticon, maybe. I'm not sure. Alarm clock on Sunday? Well, yeah, I got to get up on time for this show. This show starts 9 o'clock a.m. my time, so I get up at like 7:30. Cats are contractually obligated to be jerks, especially the orange ones. So Rex is a brown tabby. George is the orange one, and Rex is the one that's usually the troublemaker. We rarely ever get bothered while we're trying to sleep. Like Margot never. Carlson basically never. Every once in a while, Maggie gets a little weird in the morning, but it's pretty rare. But it's mostly Rex, and once in a great while, also George. Like George's main thing that he does that's naughty is number one, he chases around Margot sometimes, and she does not like it because she is about 6 pounds and he is about 16 pounds. He was 17, but he lost a touch of weight, which is good. But still, because we just took him to the vet like 2-3 weeks ago. So there's that. And also he loves to wait at the door that goes down to the basement, and he hears me coming up the stairs, and then especially it's like he knows if I'm carrying something, because I'll open the door and then he will just like shoot down the stairs into the basement, and then I have to take the thing and I have to set it down, close the door, and I have to go down and kind of follow him around for a while until I can finally pick his big ass up and then haul him back upstairs. And he just loves it. He just thinks it's the greatest thing. Like when I finally find him and I pick him up and I've got him and he's over my shoulder, he's just purring like a crazy person, and he's just so happy. And he's like rubbing his head on my face. I'm like, yeah. So, then I take him back upstairs, and yeah, but he is a moose. Cats aren't fooled by time changes. They know it's time to get up. I mean, yeah, well, they just didn't get the memo. You know what I mean? The only Star Wars miniature game I played was Star Wars Miniatures. Oh, yeah, the pre-paints from Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, I played that. Um, it was not a terrible skirmish game. Like, you played it on a grid and all that kind of stuff, but it was fun. We used to play the heck out of it. We played it at the local comic shop because there weren't any game shops in town at the time. So next Snarl needs cats in a mini game, or add cats to all your games. I mean, like, because Vince is a dog person. Like, Vince and his wife have got 3 golden retrievers. They just got a new one recently, a puppy that is Vince generally refers to as a puppy shark, because that when the puppies, they got them really sharp little pointy teeth and they're real chewy. They like to bite on things when they're puppy age. So yeah, there's a relatively constant like having to pay attention to puppies. So he's in that kind of situation right now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, then you got to get cat models and dog models, and I know they're out there, but Orange Maine Coon, Black Cat, and 45-pound Staffy here, so mornings be real joy. Yeah, yeah. Like every once in a while, and I don't know what it is, but every once in a while we can sleep relatively normal, and like Rex is, I don't know, doing something else or whatever. It's better in the summer, I find, because in the summer we can frequently leave the windows open, and so then they all kind of spend a good portion of the evening like hanging out by the windows and sniffing things and like looking out. I mean, they can look out the windows anyway, but now, if the window isn't like open and the screen being open, then they can't get all the good sniffs, and that's the important part from what I understand. So yeah, in the summer it's a little bit easier because they're a little bit more distracted overnight, but in the winter, yeah, there's very little to distract them. Cat's ears perked up when you said big ass, like it has a complex or something. Well, as a fan of big stompy mechs, have you played the Armored Core Fires of Rubicon game? Is that a tabletop game or a video game? I know Armored Core was a video game, and I don't know if it's still a video game. Did they make a new one recently? I have no idea. I've never played wait. Well, I don't think I've played any of the Armored Core games. I might have played a demo of an Armored Core game like a long time ago, like a weird PlayStation demo disc or something like that. But yeah, I've never been into anime, so like most of all that stuff usually has a tendency to kind of, you know, but yeah. Looking forward to Conflict 47 when it lands in the UK and the upcoming StarCraft. What a time to be alive. All right, there you go. Star Wars Legion has recently taken over my LGS. No kidding. Yeah, like we had Star Wars Legion going on here, and then all of a sudden it just like, and then the people were, my local LGS for a while, then it was like Marvel, and then it went Battletech, which I thought was kind of strange, but I still use those Star Wars pre-painted miniatures when I'm teaching people how to play miniatures games. They're super durable and kid-friendly. Also true. Yeah, yeah. Sounds like you guys need to make a cats versus dogs miniature game with robot squirrels that are either a random event monster or hired mercs. Oh, I don't know about that. How does a Trench Crusade hack for 40K sound? I don't know what that means. Like, it's the Trench Crusade game engine, but it's using 40K models, or the other way around? Because I will tell you that, in my opinion, the Trench Crusade rules are way better than the 40K rules. So, like, I guess if it was a situation, and the thing is the Trench Crusade is miniature agnostic, so you could use 40K models if you wanted to play Trench Crusade. There's no reason not to. I mean, Sam is using, like, most of his models for his Heretic Legion are all kit bashed GW models for the most part. Like, his normal Heretic Legion troopers, I think, are Deathcore of Krieg bodies with Sisters of Battle helmeted heads, and then I don't know if he's maybe added a couple of little things here and there, but that, and then just it depends on painting, you know what I mean? Excuse me. Armored Core Fire of Rubicon is a video game. Yeah, I've not played any of those. Our cat's level of cuddle versus jerk is directly tied to how warm it is. When it's cold out, our short hair gets super snuggly. Yeah. Our Maine Coon, on the other hand, it doesn't notice and goes stir crazy. Like last night after, not last night. It was before I went to the show. It was before I went to the punk show. Rex, like, I was sitting on the couch watching some YouTube or whatever, and Rex curled up on my lap for quite a while, which doesn't usually happen. But I think when it starts to get cold, he gets a little bit more interested in doing that. Plus, he's also just calming down a little bit. Like, when we got Rex in the beginning of 2024, it was funny because they were like, oh, yeah, we think he's like 3 years old. And then we got him home, and we'd had him about a week or two, and we're like, this guy's not 3 years old. There's no way. And then we talked to our vet, like maybe we'd had him for 2 months or so. And then we were like, hey, they said that they thought he was 3 years old. And the vet's like looking at his teeth. He's like, no, he might be 11 months old. He's probably about that. And we're like, oh, cool. So he's considerably younger than what they told us, unfortunately, because they just, whatever. They got a lot of animals in and out of there, and it's hard to track, I'm sure. So, but anyway, yeah. So he's kind of a young, crazy person. And then, and that's why we got George, because then they were like, well, he probably needs a friend his own age. So then we got George, who's also young, but he's not as crazy for the most part. But yeah, they're now at this point, and George was a touch older, like maybe 6 months older. So I think George probably right now is at least 3. And I bet he's, maybe he's 3.5 and Rex is about 3. I don't know, somewhere around there. Anyway. My LGS only wants to do 40K. I'm just not into the big army games. I totally get it. Too many things to keep track of. Too many models for me. Same here. Yep. I played Armored Core 4 Answer, whatever that title meant. The game was fun, and the customization options could keep you entertained endlessly. That's cool. There's a Trench Crusade hack for 40K, meaning using Trench Crusade rules for 40K armies. Search for 40K in Trench Crusade's homebrew section. Interesting. Working on the final art for my own miniature game, Red Jungle, the 28mm supernatural Vietnam skirmish game. Reality's Edge is nice too. Yeah, I own that book somewhere. Do I have it over here? I know I have it someplace. But I do. It's written by the same guy who did This Is Not a Test. Joe McGuire, I think is his name. Thanks for another couple hours of great hobby chatting. Absolutely. We have a Cornish Rex, rescued, best cat ever, behaves more like a dog, can even walk him on a lead. Nice. Prioritizes cuddles over food. We've had a couple of cats recently. Well, Carlson used to never be particularly food motivated. He's a scaredy cat. He's a black and white tuxedo boy, and he's always been kind of a scaredy cat ever since we got him. We think that the person who had him previous to us was mean to him. And so we've always kind of walked on eggshells around him and stuff like that and tried to keep him as calm as possible and stuff. And he's, like if we're sitting down, then he's like, okay, cool, I can come by you. But if you're walking, he's like, you're going to step on me or something. Like, I don't know if he got stepped on real bad once or whatever, but he's always been a nervous boy. So my wife has started feeding him people food. Not all the time, but like he really seems to like pork and pork products. He likes bacon. He likes spare ribs or short ribs or whatever, he likes, if it's anything that came from a pig, he is interested. And so she feeds him that stuff. Sometimes she'll have like a BLT sandwich, like from a Potbelly, and then she'll give him little pieces of bacon. And then now the other two boys are like, well, I would also like some bacon, please. And so now whenever time she sits down, like to eat, then they're all like, hey. And so now they're becoming even Carlson's becoming more food motivated. So anyway, so now when I sit down, like, in the den to like watch TV and eat something for lunch or whatever, when she's at work and I'm home working from home, then they've now learned that I'm not feeding them. No, I'm not sharing my stuff with them. So yeah, I just don't know if it's great. I mean, like Carlson's old enough that at this point we're like, yeah, and he's also kind of skinny to some degree too. So yeah, if he has some bacon, I don't know, it's probably not bad. But although tomorrow morning, he and Maggie, who are probably two of our oldest cats, both of them are going to the vet and they're getting their teeth cleaned, which means they have to be knocked out and they have to be gassed a little bit to, because you can't convince a cat to let you clean her teeth. That's just not a thing, not if they're awake. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's going to see how, it'd be real interesting to see how he handles that. But we'll see, because he's never had his teeth cleaned before or been knocked out, or I don't even think stayed at the vet very long. So Matt Rendar is a really talented artist who has done some content creation. His upcoming project is probably the only way I'd ever game Vietnam. Matt Rendar is a cool name, though. Sounds like he's from Star Wars. Staffy is the youngest of three, and the older cats have convinced her that she's really a big cat, too. Nice. Who doesn't like bacon? I mean, some people. I don't know. Sometimes it can be a bit salty. Or hard. Yeah. Anyway, thanks very much for coming by, everybody. I got to be honest. I don't know. These days, I'm just more interested in cyberpunk-leaning stuff than whatever 40K type stuff is. You know what I mean? Still like, you know, I'm really looking forward to Battletech Aces. It's right over here. I'm looking forward to playing some of that soon. Dash Rendar, that's where that's coming from. Yeah. But yeah, in general, especially, and for modeling and things like that too. Like, I still like Trench Crusade a lot as well, and that's cool. But when I'm like just thinking about my own stuff or things, like I've been thinking more and more about cyberpunk stuff, and you know, having some models to paint from not my manufacturer. Well, I've painted some from my manufacturer, but also Monster Fight Club has been great too. So, we'll see you folks again soon. Thanks for coming by and hanging out. I appreciate the chats. Yeah, we'll see you again soon. I think, let's see. So next weekend on Saturday is the Uncle Adam's Irregulars, which is the Patreon supporters at the $4 a month level. It's the Uncle Adam's Irregulars live show on Saturday. I do that once per month. And there's no Every Other Sunday show, of course, next week, because we had it this week, and it's Every Other Sunday. And then there'll be another Every Other Sunday show the Sunday after Christmas, like the 28th or something like that, 28th or 29th. So there'll be one of those, not a problem. We'll hopefully see you folks again then. So if you get the chance, do some hobby. And if you don't get the chance, well, don't beat yourself up about it. It's okay. And stay safe. And I think that's it. Thanks for watching.